Hey, so y'all kept asking me for an update on Diddy's sentencing. And first, I want to say, I'm not the judge. I wasn't in the courtroom with the diddler or his defendants. But I do have an answer for y'all finally. Now, before we get into the date of his sentencing, let's do a quick recap of what happened. So, Diddy was on trial. He was facing 5 charges. One charge was account for RICO, which they found him not guilty of. Another charge for sex trafficking of Cassie, they found him not guilty of. Another charge of transporting people for the purposes of prostitution, including Cassie and the male sex workers, he was found guilty. The fourth count was for sex trafficking of Jane, an ex-girlfriend of his who was allowed to go by a pseudonym in court. He was found not guilty. And the fifth and final charge, which was transportation of escorts or whatever it is to engage in prostitution, which included Jane and the male escorts, he was found guilty on. So 2 counts of what is considered the Mann Act, right? Which for short is called the Mann Act, but it is the transportation of people across state lines to engage in prostitution. The jury found him guilty on those 2 counts, but not the other 3. Now, the thing that's important to note is that the other 3 counts held the most time for him to be in jail. So those other 3 counts would have locked him away potentially for life. They decided that there was not enough evidence and there was enough reasonable doubt based on the defense's, challenge to the prosecution team that they didn't think he was guilty of the harsher crimes. Now, the transportation to engage in prostitution across state lines holds a maximum sentence of 10 years, right? But he was charged twice, which means that he could technically get a maximum sentence of 20 years because the maximum sentence is 10 years and they charged him twice with the Mann Act. That being said, very unlikely that he's going to get 20 years. 1, because he's a first-time offender, technically, and 2, because most people who are charged in any sort of prostitution charges don't get that much time, if any time at all. Sorry to disappoint. I agree he's a horrible person. He should go away for a long time. Now, today, the judge announced that there will be a sentencing happening. The sentencing is set to take place on October 3rd of this year. Now, if you've been following the case, you know that Diddy was denied bond. So his defense team requested bond for him so that he didn't have to sit in jail until he was sentenced. They said that he didn't have access to his airplane because it was being used and it was out of the country, and that he wasn't an actual flight risk. The prosecution team, they challenged that and said that he is a flight risk, he's really rich, and that it would put other people in danger given his history of threatening people. And then the judge ultimately decided that he was going to deny bond because of what the prosecution or the defense team said, Diddy's team. They agreed that he's a monster, he's a dangerous person, and that he's hurt people. And based on that, the judge said that he should not be let out before his sentencing. So he will remain in jail until his sentencing on October 3rd. Now, here's a letter from Agnifilo to the judge about after his decision for the sentencing. The parties have met and conferred and have agreed to the following schedule for the sentencing, post-verdict motions, and submission of offense conduct to the probation office. For sentencing, the defense processes that the probation office provide the parties with pre-sentence investigation report on or before September 5th. The defense sentencing memorandum and objections to the PSR be filed on or before September 8th. And the government sentencing memorandum and objections to the PSR be filed on or before September 15th, and that the sentencing hearing take place on September 22nd of 2025. The government does not object to this schedule. It's subject to consent of the United States probation officer. the post-verdict motions and the parties propose that the defense file any post-verdict mentions on or before July 30th and the government respond by August 20th. Finally, the government requests that it be permitted to submit a summary of offense conduct on or before July 11th, and defense does not object. We appreciate the court's considerations. The judge decided that the sentencing would happen on October 3rd. So there has been some back and forth, though, around the length of time. So what the prosecution team is saying is that he should get, so prosecution team is the government who was leading the case against him. They propose that he get 51 to 63 months in jail. The defense team, his lawyers, are saying that it should only be 21 to 27 months. So at best, at most, it sounds like he'll get 63 months. Someone do the math and leave it in the comments for how many years that is. But the least that they're proposing is 21 to 27. And you have to remember, they're going to give him time served. So he's been in jail for almost a year. He was arrested September of 2024. So he's coming up on a year. So if he's given 21 months, he won't have that much time left. He should be out probably by beginning of next year or even maybe end of this year. So the answer to the question is sentencing will occur on October 3rd. So stay tuned for more information. If anything else comes out about the case, I got you.